coming up next on the Conscious Courage podcast.
There are different kinds of support networks and support systems out there. You've heard me mention family, you've heard me mention friends, but you also have your coworkers, potentially your neighbors, potentially. You, in professional settings, you may have mentors and colleagues that provide you support. In community settings, it could be a local group, it could be your local church, it could be a place where you go and you volunteer. So don't limit your support system to those around you. And sometimes those around you can't trust, if I'm speaking candidly. And so reach out to those other systems that are out there and available to you. Hey y'all, this is episode number 12. And in the month of June, we are discussing overcoming adversity. So in episode 12, specifically, I am focused on the power of support systems in community. So in this episode, we're going to explore some critical roles that support systems and communities play in overcoming adversity. We'll also discuss how relationships, friends, family, mentors, support groups can provide some essential emotional and practical assistance during tough times. I've touched on mentors, I've touched on community, but in this episode, I bring it just a little different. You may hear some of the same topics or titles, but it's brought in a different way because it is molded or morphed or massaged for that particular episode or that particular topic. So here there are 4 key points that we are going to dive into, starting off with the importance of having a strong support network. That strong support network can look like emotional support, which brings forth the comfort and encouragement. In this example, we are going through a hard time, or actually, let's not speak hard times of our life. In this example, someone is going through a hard time and they feel overwhelmed with feelings like loneliness, anxiety, and sadness. And this is your support system, or this is where your support system can come into play. So this is when, or their support system can come into play. That's friends and families being present to listen to them, and as well as offering a shoulder to cry on and giving them some encouraging words. And our friends and our family help us understand our feelings, and they tell us it's okay to feel that way. And they reassure us that we are not alone. So personal example, I was having a conversation with someone near and dear as they are going through a financial transition. And I wanted to make sure I not go into my mode of fix it and provide my practical steps. And hey, I hope that you learned X, Y, and Z from this. But reassure them that, right now this is a tough time, and I understand that you can feel like stressed, sad, you're upset, and that's okay. Feel those emotions. Be present with those emotions. If you want to cry, if you want to scream, do that, but don't let it hold you back. Bask in it. I don't want to say a day, but if you need a day, you take that day, and then you get after what you need to get after to put you in a different position or in a better position. So that is a very practical and recent conversation that I had, but I'm so grateful that in my studies, and also like studies for school or studies and just me learning and becoming and evolving as a person, it's not getting straight to it, fix it. It's being present, it's being a comfort. It is giving someone something that they need in that moment, while also gently dropping the nuggets of the transformational thinking and how can you learn from this, how can you grow from this, and having that transition in their thinking so that they don't remain in that present state of mind of anxiety and depression, at least not for a long period of time. When it's a natural reaction, but we don't have to allow it to control us. And that's what I wanted that person to understand in that instant without saying all of those words. You also want to gain perspective. So another important thing in our support network is that it provides us with perspective. When we're deep in a problem, it's hard sometimes to see our way out. When you're really far down in that hole, in that darkness, it's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's hard to see that silver lining or that the best is still yet to come. However, our friends and our family members, they can help us with the greater picture, or they should help us with the greater picture by assisting in finding solutions or even reminding us of our strengths and our past successes, that they can point out things we might not notice because we're too stressed out. So going back to the example I just gave you, I was sharing with that person, like, okay, yes, this happened, but look at how you showed up in these areas, while also looking at, okay, you could have done better here. And that's fair. None of us are perfect. There's always a room for growth, or what I like to call areas of growth. Now, practical assistance when we are going through a time of adversity. The first episode that I shared was how I recently was in a position of overcoming adversity, but adversity can look like or can show up in a myriad of ways. And so in these practical examples of overcoming adversity, it can look like assistance in completing a chore, or receiving a ride to the doctor's office, finding information. So having that support system in place to help you with completing some taskers. This may not be applicable to your life now. However, you can see this potentially in the future as you grow older and potentially require some assistance, or life happens. And there is a gentleman who I interviewed, and I will air that interview in September, in which he had a surprise stroke. And so he's now in a position where he receives support while still being a caregiver to his wife. But he didn't know that he would end up in that place where the assistance or that support system, that network, would be there not only for him as he consoles his wife, or not consoles, but takes care of his wife, but also for himself as he's in this transition. Another topic is our support system should be there to celebrate our successes as well, y'all. Like when we reach a milestone, now I will talk about us. I'm gonna bring us into this instead of they. When we reach a milestone or achieve something important, our friends and our family are there to cheer us on and celebrate us in those moments of togetherness, which strengthens our relationship and creates happy memories. Can you think of the last success that you had? Whether it was you told yourself you would drink more water, that you would wake up early, that you would listen to the Conscious Courage podcast every Monday, you know what I'm saying? And when you shared that, what was the reaction? I would hope that whomever you shared it with celebrated you. And just what I would encourage you to do is reflect back on that moment and how you felt, bottle it up, write it down, save it in your memory bank for a time in which you may be down, and you can bring yourself back up, like, oh, that fond moment, that happy moment. Feeling of belonging. This is another key aspect in the sense of belongingness. As humans, we need to feel connected to others. So being a part of a support network makes us feel like we belong, and that reduces the feelings of loneliness and giving us a sense of security as well as identity. Okay, there are different kinds of support networks and support systems out there. You've heard me mention family, you've heard me mention friends, but you also have your coworkers, potentially your neighbors, potentially you in professional settings. You may have mentors and colleagues that provide you support. In community settings, it could be a local group, it could be your local church, it could be a place where you go and you volunteer. So don't limit your support system to those around you. And sometimes those around you can't trust, if I'm speaking candidly. And so reach out to those other systems that are out there and available to you. You could be wondering, well, I don't have a support system, or what does building a support system even look like? Girl, this is all new. What are you talking about, Davone'a? Well, communicate. It's as simple as having an open and honest, transparent conversation about your needs, your feelings, and your areas of growth to others so that they know how and when to help you. It's also important to give support in return. So helping others builds strong mutual bonds. Trust and respect are the foundation of any support system. When you help others, it also boosts up and it releases endorphins and it brings out happiness and joy. And it's just a good feeling on the inside. And so let's say you're down, because I am talking about it. Like, okay, I'm going to give y'all a real life example. When I learned my grandfather passed away, I was asleep because of the time difference. I woke up, I read the message, and I was definitely taken back. I knew that it was going to happen and come to pass. Even though I wouldn't say we didn't know when, because he lost his battle to cancer. So it was evident that there was a time and sooner than later that he will no longer be with us. And so I read the message, prepared myself. I went on to work. And I remember like sharing with them, and they're like, you need to go home. And I'm like, no, one, I'm new. So I'm like, I don't want to take time off if I don't need to. Like, I'm going to have to take time off for his services. I don't want to take time off for this year. I want to work. But something I did intentionally, I'm a giver naturally, but on this day, I intentionally set out to ensure I went and I purchased someone something. And I'll just leave it there as a kind gesture, because I knew that kind act would uplift me. I did it out of generosity, yes, because I am a giver. I'm laughing because I was going to bring in the word. Okay, the word says that I'm a lender and not the borrower, but that's neither here nor there. It's not Bible study. So I did it out of generosity, and also knowing that in that moment, I needed a pick-me-up, and what would help lift me up was to be a blessing onto someone else. So just keep that in your back pocket. Okay, this is key point number 2. As I mentioned, you may be wondering, how do I build that support system? And I said communication. Well, now we're going to deep dive into how to build and maintain those supportive relationships. Again, effective communication, so I won't harp on that too much, and being open about what you're going through and allowing those others to assist you. I do want to note this here, that communication isn't just about talking. It's also about listening. When someone shares their feelings or problems with you, ensure to practice active listening. This means really paying attention to what they're saying without interrupting or thinking about what you're going to say next. Show empathy by acknowledging their feelings and letting them know you understand. I know I talked about this. I spoke about communication and active listening and ensuring that you're present. That was in April. At some point, I don't recall the exact episode number, but that's so true. I see more often than not, people, when you're talking to them, you can see that they're thinking about something else, or their response was already formed and they were just waiting for the opportunity to say it. So something I like to say is listen to hear and not listen to react. And I have my moments too. I'm not perfect, okay? I have my moments where I just want to jump in, or if I'm having a conversation and I get excited about something, because I'm like, oh, I have a solution to that, or oh, I just heard someone talking about this, and now like you mentioning it made me think about it, and I want to give you this information. Always eager to help, goodness gracious. But active listening is key. Also, vulnerability and authenticity. So vulnerability, that means being vulnerable and allowing yourself to be seen for who you truly are, flaws and all. Well, we don't have flaws, baby. We just have areas of growth. So your areas of growth and all. It can be scary to open up about your fears, your insecurities, or even your struggles, but doing so can strengthen your relationships When you share your true self with others, it invites them to do the same. And this mutual vulnerability builds deeper connections as well as trust. I would caveat this by saying ensure whomever you are opening yourself to or considering opening yourself up to is trustworthy. Don't go around here telling your business, confessing your insecurities, your areas of growth, previous struggles, addictions, whatever the case may be, to any old person or any old body, okay? Don't do that. I'm not telling y'all to do that. Look, I saw on the Conscious Courage podcast, I need to communicate and I want to tell you everything, and this person is not worthy of knowing everything. So use wisdom. That can go for family too. All right, we are transitioning into reciprocity. There's a song out there. Reciprocity means that support goes both ways. It's not just about receiving help, but also about giving it. When you offer a listening ear, a helping hand, or words of encouragement to someone else, you're building a foundation of trust as well as mutual respect. So imagine you have a friend and they're going through a tough time, a brother, a sister, and you take this time to listen to them, you offer advice, or just be there for them. Later, when you're facing your own challenges, that friend is likely to reciprocate by supporting you. This back and forth of giving and receiving strengthens the bond between you and creates a resilient support network. This speaks to my soul. This speaks to my whole heart. Being consistent and reliable. It's not easy for people. This means being there for your friends and family regularly, not just when it's convenient for you. Make it a habit to check in with your loved ones, celebrate their successes and their support, and offering them support during tough times. Being reliable also means keeping your promises and following through on communication. If you say you'll help a friend move or meet someone for coffee, make sure you do it. Keep your word. And I will add in there, if you cannot do it, communicate that. Communication. Okay, y'all? Consistency and reliability builds trust, showing others that they can count on you. Yes, yes, yes.
Ad break. Are you seeking an electrifying speaker to ignite transformation in your audience? Well, look no further. Hi, I'm Davone'a, real estate investor, Air Force veteran, and host of the Conscious Courage podcast, where new episodes are released every Monday, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time via YouTube and all streaming audio platforms. I specialize in delivering impactful keynote speeches that inspire change and elevate your minds. Whether it's a virtual gathering or an in-person event, I bring passion, expertise, and a unique delivery to every arena or every environment that I'm in. Let's captivate your audience together and create an unforgettable experience. Contact me today to book your next event, and let's embark on this journey of transformation, or let's get all of your attendees on this journey toward internal glow up. You can book me via my website by going to www.davoneatashay.com. I'll spell that for you. It is www.DAV as in Victor, ONEATASHAE.com. I look forward to connecting with you. Take care.
Now, this is something I thoroughly enjoy discussing, and that is boundaries, okay? Because we need them. And while it's important to be supportive, it's also equally important to set boundaries, y'all. Boundaries help maintain healthy relationships by ensuring that you're not overextending yourself or becoming overwhelmed by the needs of others. Hello, recovering people pleasers. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Communicate your boundaries clearly and respect the boundaries of others. This helps to create a balanced, respectful dynamic where everyone feels valued as well as understood. So, no is okay. I have a group of women more recently, and we meet up, and I miss my first meeting, and I had to ensure I stayed true to myself. Although, yes, I wanted to meet up with them. I love the energy, the communication, and the fellowship, but I was exhausted, okay? Like, body ready to shut down at 5 o'clock every day. And I said, I gotta put me first. I'm going to bed. Once upon a time, I wouldn't have been that person, and I would have sacrificed my sleep. Gotta put me first. So, building a community. In addition to the one-on-one relationships, let's think about building a sense of a community. And this could be through joining clubs, groups, or organizations where you can connect with other like-minded people. The like-minded is what I wish to underscore here. Yes, yes, yes. These communities offer additional layers of support and can introduce you to new friends as well as resources. Okay, I told y'all we have 4 key points. We're moving on into point number 3, which is finding and utilizing community resources as well as support groups. So community resources, as I've already said, are another avenue. As I just mentioned, clubs and organizations. They offer a treasure of information, guidance, as well as support for individuals facing similar challenges or even seeking specific types of assistance. Whether it's coping with mental health issues or dealing with addiction, navigating a career transitioning or a financial transition, simply seeking companionship and understanding, there's likely a community resource or support group for you out there, tailored specific to your needs. Something I would highlight here, look, as I get all comfortable, is, what was it? For one of my classes, we had to attend some form of a group counseling. And so I went to, actually, it was like a course on addiction or alcohol consumption, something like that. And so I went to a local church, and they were having an AA meeting. And after the AA, you would break out into smaller groups. And in that group, the one was like, yes, you can attend. You don't say what you're here for. You're just blend in with the group. So yeah, we go around the table. They're going to express their stuff, and you share yours. So to hear the stories of those women and how they were persevering and overcoming. One woman said while she was in college, she lost both of her parents, and she was maybe 19, 20, 21, and she was still a child in the sense of paying bills and having responsibilities and taking care of herself. She didn't foresee that arising and the stress that came from that. And another woman was proud of herself because she was overcoming, or she had gone X amount of days without substance abuse or substance use, and some other stories that were shared. Those 2 really stood out to me because the woman who shared about her substance use was young and beautiful, and you wouldn't know like that there was anything mentally or emotionally that would have her seeking to find relief or freedom or to get away by way of substance. And y'all, in September, we are deep diving into substance use. I have 2 interviews that I conducted with 2 different individuals and their addictions and how they've overcome addiction, and it's going to be so good when I bring that information and just make someone be relieved of it. It has nothing to do with this here. We are talking about coping strategies and resilience, but those topics are still about resilience and jazz as well. So stay tuned. I'm talking about September, and we are in June, okay? I'm just excited to bring y'all that information. So type of community resources that you can look for local organizations and not-for-profits. You can look for support groups, like as I just mentioned, it was a church. And you may wonder, well, how can I look this stuff up? YouTube. Why did I say YouTube? Well, maybe they do have some YouTube virtual videos out there. But you can look this stuff up, Yelp, Google. If you have a smartphone, talking into your phone. If you don't have a smartphone, look at a newspaper. Go to your local library for a resource. Walk into your nearest church and see what that facility has to offer. Like sometimes churches, if the campus or if the grounds are large enough, they may have another facility on the church grounds that offers X, Y, and Z. Or the church could offer something right in the main sanctuary as well. Looking for those support groups, online communities and forums. You, and this day and age, I've never tried, could more than likely go out to Instagram, TikTok. I know my siblings can find things on TikTok and search for community-based blank in wherever you are, Palm Springs or something along those lines. One of the key benefits to these support groups is solidarity as well as camaraderie that they provide. When you connect with others who are facing similar struggles or even experiences, you realize that you're not alone. That there are people out there who understand exactly what you're going through and are ready to offer you with support and encouragement. The sense of community can be incredibly uplifting and can also help reduce the feelings of isolation. So I wasn't going to share what this person I was recently speaking with endured, but I will, because we're transparent and I'm not saying names. So the person was let go from their job, which is traumatic, a traumatic experience, especially when you don't see it coming. And we're not little Macy's, no disrespect to Macy's. There was a time when I worked at Macy's and I didn't have a car. I don't remember what happened, but I didn't have a car. So I was taking public transportation, and public transportation, if you ever caught it, it can be reliable, but it can also be a little wishy-washy. And so I arrived late to work one too many times, and my manager had to pull me aside and go, hey, you can leave or we will have to let you go because of your tardiness. And so I was like, okay, well, thank you. I'm going to leave. So I share that to say I know what it feels like to be on the brink of being fired, not what it is to be fired. And in my example, it was literally out of my hands. I could not make the bus or the light rail go any faster or arrive on time or not stop because there was an accident, et cetera, et cetera. So it was out of my hands. I think I was catching like 2 buses in the light rail or something, or maybe a light rail, 2 light rails in a bus. I don't know. It was far for me to get to work. So for this person, I am able to empathize and kind of sympathize with. And what I shared with them is, look where I have become now. So that was nothing but an experience. That was nothing but a part of the journey. In their case, they had some more involvement, if you will. And so my encouragement to them was, okay, well, see how you showed up and what can you learn from that? And then, go from there. And I'll pretty much leave it there. But that is what having the community is, and sharing you're not alone in this. You are not the first person in this example to ever be fired, and you won't be the last. And it doesn't have to stop here. Keep on trucking along. Take your lessons from it and you go forth and you conquer. It will be okay. So I would share that same nugget or sense of encouragement to whomever is going through something right now is you're not alone. You're not the first person this is happening to, unless it's just, I don't have anything to say. And if you are, I send my love to you. You can get through this. You're not alone. Having that community is what helps to just bring you back to reality and ground you and re-emphasize that for you. So some ways that you can access and utilize community resources effectively is one, to take the initiative, take that first step to reach out. This might mean attending a local meeting, joining that online forum as we've mentioned, or even connecting to organizations directly. Two, it is participate actively. So once you reach out to these teams, don't simply reach out, go one time, and then that's it. No, sir, no, ma'am. Make sure they have a schedule of some sort and they give you a way that you can dial in via Zoom, that you do that and remain consistent, actively participate and engage with the other members, building your support system. And what tool are you going to bring? Active listening, y'all. Active listening, okay? Make sure that you're open-minded as well and seek professional help when needed. So sometimes those community resources may not be enough by themselves. And in that case, it's okay. Seek professional help. You can look at some counselors, some therapists, or even medical professionals can be crucial. And speaking of medical professionals, you can ask your doctor for resources that could be available in your local area. Now, I have a couple of fictitious stories. Okay, I've shared the one with me more recently, or my transformational shifting and reframing of the brain pep talk that I gave to someone in this week. But this here is a story about someone named Sarah, okay? Fictitious. So Sarah faced severe depression and felt isolated. She joined a local support group for people dealing with mental health issues. Through weekly meetings and shared experiences, Sarah found a sense of belonging as well as understanding, and the support group became her lifelong friends. This helped her to navigate through depression as well as ultimately finding some joy in her life again. Now, this person here I will refer to as Malachi. Malachi struggled with addiction for years. He felt hopeless until he found an online community of individuals in recovery. The constant support, encouragement, and shared stories of triumph inspired him to stay committed to his recovery journey, and today he is sober and actively supports others in the same community, and I think that's beautiful. The road to recovery in itself for someone that is battling addiction is deeper than what meets the eye, and I'm looking forward to unpacking that in September. And as I've mentioned, having those two guest speakers come on that share their story of overcoming and triumphing is actually what I called it, triumphing over addiction, because it isn't as simple as, okay, well, let me stop doing this or I can just cut this off. There is a science behind it. There is the mental portion of it. And I'm going to stop there because that's not what this video is about. Now let's talk about Miss Linda. So Linda lost her job during the pandemic and felt overwhelmed by financial stress. She reached out to a local non-for-profit that offered her a job placement service and financial counseling. With their help, she not only found a new job, but she also learned valuable financial management skills, and Linda now volunteers with the same not-for-profit to help others facing similar challenges. Let's unpack Linda's story, because Linda was let go. She found a resource, that not-for-profit that hired her, and not only did she do that, she attended a course that teaches her some financial literacy. And in her doing that, she successfully transitioned. And then what did she do? She turned around and made sure that she gave back. So key point number 4 are just some examples, some real life examples that someone could face and need to overcome adversity with support systems. Bring this full circle by delving into some real life stories of individuals who have faced seemingly insurmountable challenges but emerged victorious with the unwavering support of their networks. So imagine this here. Let's go down story time. That you're standing at the foot of a towering mountain, okay? It's just up there, baby. That mountain is so high up in the clouds. and you feel overwhelmed by the magnitude of the challenge ahead. You don't want to get up, you don't want to go to work, you don't want to think about it. It's just weighing heavy on you. Now imagine seeing others who have climbed that same mountain, faced their fears, and reached the summit. They've made it to the top. These individuals are living proof that it's possible to overcome adversity, and that their stories are a source of inspiration and motivation for us all. That may look like battling chronic illness, to overcoming addiction, from navigating grief and loss, to pursuing dreams against all odds. These stories will exemplify the resilience of human spirit, and they show us that no matter how daunting the obstacles may seem, there is always hope in the horizon, and that hope often comes in from the form of our support system. I don't know if you're new here or if you've been listening, but I'm going to say this, and I've said it before. I'm real hesitant about saying names, y'all. I mean, I don't want anyone to ever come across this and say she used my name, even if I'm using it in a positive light, in a motivating, encouraging manner, and it's just no, my name is trademark, take it down. I don't know how that works, so I'm just not going to use names, okay? I'm going to say, so this person is known for their philanthropy as well as their advocacy work, and particularly in areas related to education, women's empowerment, and mental health. If you know, you know, and I'm going to leave it there. Through initiative like their Leadership Academy and their talk show, they have provided a platform for discussing important social issues and connecting individuals with resources and support. There was also ED. This person's no longer online, live, if you will, but this person had a talk show that she created a platform for promising kindness, acceptance, as well as empathy, and often featuring stories of individuals overcoming adversity and finding support. Once upon a time, I was like, I'm going to be on this person's talk show. Okay, I gave y'all two females. Let me go ahead and bring a gentleman on into this. So this person is known, at least from my earliest of memories, a wrestler, transition into an actor, transition on into, if I'm not mistaken, he has a clothing line, more fitness driven. So he's known for his career in entertainment and athletics. Maybe he was an athlete and I just don't know it. But he also has a vocal presence and struggles with mental health, as well as the importance of seeking support. So through his social media presence and interviews, he has shared messages of resilience, self-care, and power of community. And what I hope that you take away from this here is these individuals, with their influence, still use their platforms to raise awareness around providing support, mental health, fostering connection, as in and outside of communities. And they do this through advocacy efforts and personal stories. They inspire others to seek help as well as support and work towards collectively being well all the way around. They ain't know about that internal glow up, but that's what it sounds like to me. Let's transition into some practical steps for building and leveraging support systems. So this is our practical steps, y'all. Get y'all pens and papers ready. So you want to assess current networks that are out there. Take inventory of your current support networks and identify your friends, your family members, the mentors that you have, the individuals around you that you can reach out to. I like to call on the Holy Ghost and prayer and fasting, but that's me, you know what I'm saying? Now, practical step number 2 is communicating your needs. So practice open and honest communication with your support system, with those individuals that you outlined, sharing your needs, your feelings, and your struggles openly, allowing others to understand exactly how they can best support you. Again, ensuring that these people are trustworthy. Don't go out here talking to any and everybody and telling Bob and Jane and Joe, okay? It's not for everyone, just those that you deem trustworthy. So use your best judgment. But if you really want to know, okay, you got to look at the fruit. And if you really want to know, ask for wisdom and understanding. All right, now, practical step number 3, be there for others. So foster that reciprocity that we talked about. That means that support going both ways, not you simply being the beggar with your hand out for the help all the time, but also providing help to others. How can I serve you? Okay. Offer a listening ear and a helping hand, or even words of encouragement to those who may be facing some similar challenges of their own. Exploring community resources is our practical step number 4, and that is researching and exploring your local organizations, your not-for-profits, local open communities, churches, etc. Practical step number 5 is practicing, I almost said active listening. Doing that, yes, but what I want to say is actively participating. So when you find that community, when you find that organization, ensuring not to go one time, but keep your schedule open so that you can attend, let's say if they meet weekly, at least 3 of the 4 meetings, okay? I would say every single one, but life happens. And if you can't, then at minimum, at least 2. But really push yourself to meet all 4. And if you can't meet all 4, then do 3. I'm giving y'all really too many options. Look, just go to every single one, every single week. Push yourself to be consistent. Practical step number 6 is to find that professional assistance if needed. Getting that professional help, a counselor, a therapist, heading into church. Churches offer counselors as well. You may have more biblical teaching and word and guidance in it, but there's nothing wrong with that. The basic instructions before leaving earth will never lead you wrong, will never lead you astray. Therapists, counselors, and support groups can provide valuable guidance and support to your journey and your healing as well as your growth. Practical step number 7, I'll just slide this in there, is practicing gratitude, being grateful for what you have, where you are, how you're becoming. Practical step number 8 is ensuring that you implement these steps. Don't just listen to it, but implement. Ensure that you stay connected when you have that support group as well. Being vulnerable and tuning in to the Conscious Courage podcast. Why wouldn't I plug the Conscious Courage podcast? We are your supportive network. Okay, you are IGU, babe. You are a part of the family, the internal glow up family, and we are a supportive network. I'm here for you every single Monday or real time. Just send a note, leave a comment, whatever the case may be, reach out via email, and let's see what we can do. If I'm not available because I'm not licensed, then I can get you the appropriate resource, or we can work together on transforming your way of thinking, okay? Because baby, it starts here and here. And I don't mind working on both areas if you don't mind and if you trust me to do so. I thank y'all for tuning in. Next week, we will continue to dive into overcoming adversity, but of course, these are sub-bullets, sub-topics. I'm actually thinking of changing my verbiage to mini-series. So the mini-series for June is overcoming adversity with each episode, if you will. So that's every Monday, kind of diving deeper into what I mean there. All right, y'all. So until next week, I love you. Take care. So, disclaimer, as a content creator with a background in psychology and ongoing studies, it's important to clarify that I am not a licensed professional. The videos and podcasts I produce are intended for educational, entertainment, and transformational purposes only. While I strive to provide you with accurate information and insight, it's essential that you consult with a licensed mental health professional for clinical perspective and personalized advice tailored to your specific needs. Your mental health, okay, y'all? Y'all mental health is of the utmost importance to me, and your well-being is as well. However, seeking professional guidance from a qualified provider is encouraged for any concerns or issues that you may be experiencing.